Débora Gianotto is joining me from São Paulo, Brazil. And Deborah has a degree in pedagogy and a postgraduate degree in psychopedagogy and psychoanalysis. She has been working as a therapist for 5 years and with logosynthesis for almost 2 years. She is currently training to become a practitioner in logosynthesis. So thank you so much for joining me, Deborah. I'm
Thank
really looking forward to this conversation. And I want to learn how and why you use logosynthesis to help people let go of emotional pain so that they can step into empowerment. So, to start, can you describe how you were introduced to logosynthesis and what made you curious to train in this model?
Yeah. So Logosynthesis came to my life in 2023, I'm sorry, through my uncle. He lives in Switzerland and he met Pamela. Pamela works with Logosynthesis as well. She's a master. And I always believed that human beings are materialized energy or bodied energy. And so I felt a strong call to participate on the basic course. And when I participated in the course, I received a chance to change some of my thoughts and behaviors. And I saw logosynthesis as a very powerful tool to help people understand their story and release their pain in order to heal.
I'm thinking that most people don't come to you specifically stating, help, I'm struggling with emotional pain or I'm struggling with victimization. I'm curious from your experience, how do people show up at your office? What are they looking for?
Okay, no, they don't. This state of pain is present in most of us in several fronts. The first step is to recognize it is a state of suffering in which the person feels with his hands tied and always waiting for the help of others. In this state, the person don't take responsibility for his own life and what happens to it. So, of course, good things happen and bad things happen to us all the time, but we need to take the responsibility and what is our role of that, because waiting for others to resolve our problems, uh, it won't work. You have the power to heal your own pain. Of course we can help, of course psychoanalysis and logosynthesis really helps, but you have to want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of times when people show up at your office, that's a really important first step, isn't it? That they are actually willing to look into it and address it. So, do you have an example of someone who struggled with emotional pain and maybe how you use logosynthesis?
Yeah, actually I have lots of examples because I use logosynthesis a lot. I mean, every time that I feel that I see that the person uh, is stuck and really suffering, and most of them they come into my office already activated. So the pain is so there that I can use logosynthesis right away because they are there. They are leaving the pain. So, for example, I had a girl. She was like around 21 years old, and this is a very simple one. Okay, this is a very simple one. She was uh, she was struggling with fear, so she couldn't sleep in her own bedroom by herself. She always needed her mom to sleep with her. At the beginning, she slept in the bed with her mom. She couldn't because she was so afraid. She was panic of sleeping in her own bedroom. And then okay, and then we start working. I start see what is the trigger, what is going on, and she saw an image that uh, it was so funny. she saw an image that the gate was opening, because here in Brazil is not like, here in Brazil we are not as safe
Yes.
as in other parts of the world. So everything can happen. Bad things can happen if you leave your gate open. So she was really afraid. And then this was a fantasy. This was a fantasy of her. It was a trigger for a fear that she had, maybe from her childhood. But the trigger was this image, this fantasy. So when she said the sentences, so something shifted, and it was so incredible because she saw the gate closing, and that's okay. So it was just that. And that, okay, you're better. Oh, I feel better. She said, oh, I feel better. Thank you. And you know that breathe like, it's a relief. Oh, I feel better. Okay. And then, oh, but what is this? And then I explained to her that is logosynthesis, and let's see what happens. Okay. The next session she came and we went through the section normally. And then when she was going home, she said, oh, I forgot to tell you, I am sleeping in my room. I'm sleeping alone in my room. I said, wow, really? She said, yes, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but I think that the thing that you did to me, I don't know what you did to me, but I'm not afraid anymore. I said, whoa, and this is amazing. Yeah, so I said to my mom, I don't want you to come and sleep in my room today because I don't know why I was afraid. This doesn't make sense anymore. So it was like kind of magic, you know? So yeah, this was one of the examples, and I have so many more. Yeah.
Wow. And that is such a common one, isn't it? Like once that image shifts, sometimes we even actually forget what the issue is. Like, why would I have possibly been scared to sleep in my own bed by myself? And the other thing that we find quite often is that people don't really attribute it to the sentences that we did or running a logosynthesis basic procedure on it, because it couldn't have been that easy. They think it's something else that happened.
Exactly.
Do you find
Exactly.
that often?
Yes, yes, a lot. But I don't care. Actually, for me, it's important for them to be good. It doesn't matter if they understand or not, they believe it or not. For me, it doesn't matter. What is good is what they get out of that suffering.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I have an example when we went to Brazil for the World Cup. So we were in Santos and absolutely loved it. But everybody, before we left Canada to go to Brazil, everybody's like, oh, Cathy, you have to be so careful when you go to Brazil. Like it's not safe. And where we were staying was a lovely place, but it had the big fence and like the big gate to the street, but then the window was wide open. And so we were going for a movie one night, and I went and tucked my phone away and hid it just so nobody could. It's not rational, but I hid it so nobody could come in through that window while we were at the movies. And then I came back and I went to get it out of the regular place, totally forgetting that I had hid it. And I just went into panic mode. And I just went to the spot where someone came in through the window and stole my wallet.
Oh,
And it didn't,
yeah,
after I calmed down. And so from a logosynthesis perspective, I was able to recognize what I did, but in that moment, I couldn't get myself out of it at all. But it's just
yeah,
that so many people had spoken about it before we went that automatically I just got activated. And
yeah.
there.
This is the thing of, I can tell you, maybe the thing is of your ego, like our ego. Like when people tell us, don't do that, be careful, because this bad thing can happen to you, then automatically you come poof in your head and you are afraid. And when you're afraid, you you start like, you are not close to your essence, right? You are in another part of you, of yourself. You are in your brain. So that's the difficult of living in this world, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we go into fight, flight, freeze stress responses, don't we? That it's just, we kind of get out of there. So, yeah, so what specific aspects of working with logosynthesis can help people actually shift from suffering or from this emotional pain to moving into a more empowered state that they don't have to stay as a victim?
Yeah. So you can use logosynthesis with yourself, to yourself. This is awesome. Like when you realize that you are there suffering. So you have, okay, I have to recognize it, that this can be some feeling from the past or some uh, fear from future or something like that. This is the first thing. So you can use logosynthesis to yourself. Logosynthesis makes you clarify things. It's like identifies and neutralizes what is painful, the trigger, and you access the present as it really is, this time right here, right now. And when you come to right here, right now, you see that there is no past and there is no future. We just live here, right now. So all the things, all the triggers that comes, maybe feelings from the past or something from the future, with logosynthesis, you just let it go.
Mhm.
Things go away with the sentences, and you say, okay, you can start seeing the things through another perspective, and you say, okay, you know what? There's nothing to do with this. I see now. I know what's going on, and you start being rational, and it's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, and we often work in logosynthesis. We say we work with memories, beliefs, and fantasies. And I often think of the memories, obviously, are in the past. The
Yeah,
beliefs are actually often conclusions that we've come to from the past or from our culture that's almost ingrained in our culture. And then the fantasies tend to be like what you described with the gate, that fearful future scenario. And so those three aspects, memories, beliefs, and fantasies, and we recognize them as mental imagery. So people see or hear or smell or through their
yeah,
sensory perceptions, don't they?
yes, 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 like this.
So, can you share an example maybe of a turning point in a session where a client moves from feeling stuck or feeling helpless to recognizing their own power?
Yeah. So I have a patient. She's around 50 something, and she was really stuck, and she was in depression because she felt weak from with the situations in her life, and she was waiting. She was waiting for someone to help her, and it's like this is where we see that victimization is really bad for people. So she had a really bad time with money, and her family has or had the money to help her, but they didn't want to for several reasons. And so she was really stuck in that place where she was waiting for someone to come and rescue her. Um, So she was feeling abandoned, weak, small. Um, the representation of this suffering in her mind was the farm of her family. So because they have a farm, and the anger when she closed her eyes, the anger came. So she was suffering with anger. In the image, uh, she was fighting with her family. They were arguing. And so right after, then I got, and I told her to say the sentences. So right after she said the sentences, I saw her face changing, like she was like, and it's so incredible because I can feel sometimes the change happening, and
Mhm.
and the and I could see her expression changing, and I feel so blessed that time because she's like she's getting there, and at that moment I realized that something had changed in her. So she described that from when she opened her eyes, and she drank water, of course, and she described that while she sat, she was saying the sentences, she grew bigger and bigger and bigger, not as a human being, but she just saw the farm from another perspective, and she was on the top, as she was in the sky and seeing the farm very small. So, and then I asked her, so what do you think changed? What has changed? And said, you know what? I don't know, but I don't care about anymore. It's like I'm not going to wait anymore. When she said that, I said, oh my God, this is awesome. So I don't have to wait. It's something like big because, yeah, that's it. You don't have to wait. You have your own power. So go after it. So she felt the power in her hands, and she felt she was so powered, powered, empowered. I don't know the name.
Mhm.
So
Powerful, yeah.
yeah, powerful. She felt powerful, and it was like this. So she stopped complaining. She stopped being a victim from that point. And with this patient, Logosynthesis works so well, that she's moving from a really suffering state from the empowerment. And it was really quick because all the sessions she wants to use it. She wants to do Logosynthesis more and more every session. And it was so quick that now she's like, she doesn't play victim anymore. She's not complaining anymore. She's accepting things as they are and said, okay, you know what? I have to do something about it. And I know that my life depends on me. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, what a great example. And I think you make some really great points there because it isn't, people can have such a powerful experience on a specific issue. And yet, by the time we get to be 50, there are many issues that we've experienced. So there's layers to it. It's not just one, and we're miraculously cured. But with each layer, we've opened up to newer awareness and newer sense of empowerment, don't we?
Yes, exactly. It's like layers, and with her, it worked perfectly like this. One layer goes, and then another section, another thing change, another shift. And sometimes it's a really small shift. You don't even you don't even know at the time. Sometimes patients get out and, oh, nothing happens. It didn't work to me. And then next session, like, oh, you know what? I did something different this time. And I was wondering why I did something different in my life. It's because something really small shift and you didn't realize at the time. But it's like when you peel an onion, and it doesn't have to be big, a big shift. From small to small shifts, you get there, and you get bigger and bigger
Yeah.
in behaviors and beliefs and all that.
Because I find often people say they're kind of going looking for the trigger, right? So they want to know what is triggering me to act this way or feel this way or feel like a victim or feel pain. Um, and yet it's about allowing yourself to get in touch with the thoughts, the emotions, the physical sensations that are distressing, and then that image can arise. So when you described the example of the lady with the farm, she had to allow herself to feel that anger, and then that perception of the farm can show up, can't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is subtle. So we do we call it the SUDS rating, before and after the sentences. So we do the subjective units of distress, because sometimes people, after it's done, they're like, well, nothing shifted. But yet they might have gone from an 8 or a 9 or a 10 level of distress on a scale of 10, and they go down to 0 or 1 or 2 where there's very little distress. And without rating that, you don't really need to rate it, but without rating it, sometimes we think, oh, nothing happened, and yet a major block has energetically shifted.
It's because sometimes it's very when people don't understand reasonable, they don't see scientifically, like they need something like some scientific explanation for the thing, so they think it doesn't work, but it works. It works. It shifts, and I really don't know why people don't believe it, and because it's just energy. It's like when you see the wireless or Wi-Fi working, you don't see the Wi-Fi working, like the information coming and go, but it's working. So, okay, then they don't need to see, they don't look for an scientific explanation for that, but they see that works.
Yeah. I'm a little bit on the side because I don't really see mental imagery, or I don't see pictures in my head so much. But yet I have those memories and those beliefs that really keep me stuck, and I can shift them with logosynthesis. So it's not so much about the vividness of what I'm experiencing, but I can still shift it. But I am all about the science. And so I've been doing a lot of research on the area of mental imagery, and there's a lot of new research in the area of mental imagery and mental health issues, mental disorders, and even just health in general. So anxiety and fear and suicide, like all of that, that there's a role for mental imagery. And I think that research will come. But again, we don't need the research to know that it works, right? It's time after time we experience it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So oftentimes in logosynthesis, we work with the limiting beliefs. So people come because they're struggling, and it can be beliefs that are holding them back. And many of them we're not even cognitively aware of because they've been with us for so long. They're part of our personality. So what role does, or would you say that the awareness of limiting beliefs play in transitioning from feeling powerless to feeling empowered?
Yeah. So the essence of being is unlimited, right? There is not right or wrong. In essence, we are light and love. If you are aware that you have limited beliefs, is already a step toward knowing that something in you is not flowing. As they say, these limiting beliefs, they disconnect people from their essence, and does not allow energy to flow. It makes you feel weak. When you imagine to neutralize this belief, you can feel that such a thing only exists in your thoughts. So logosynthesis helps in this process. For example, the feeling of not being capable, the belief of not being good enough, it's a very common belief. And we can work with logosynthesis to shift that. For example, let's get the example of a woman that she always listened sentences like when she was small, oh, poor thing. Oh, she can't handle this. Oh, she doesn't know that. Oh my gosh, she's sleeping. Poor thing, poor thing, poor thing. So this phrase come to her head, and she's like, oh, so I am a poor thing. Oh my, poor me. I can't do it. Oh, I won't do it. I can't get there. Oh my gosh. So this comes to your mind and sticks in there, right? If the first step is to recognize that. So when we grow up, it's really even hard to see that these beliefs in ourselves. If you know that you have this kind of beliefs, then you can start working on that. And the logosynthesis help us because the senses release that. It's peeling. So goes little by little. It takes you from that state to see that why am I a poor thing? Why am I weak? You see, so logosynthesis helps you with that. It takes you from that state. So little by little, said, okay, but this is not right. I'm not a poor thing.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And some of those, like you said, when it's something that's been repeated over and over again, it's more layers to peel away than if it's just one high impact event where it's like, oh, you poor thing, that gets frozen, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say even on the other side of it, because I grew up in a family, it's, oh, you're strong, you're strong. But that can become limiting as well over time, can't it? Do you see that? Come
Mhm.
like it.
Yeah, because when you if you since you were little, people tell you, oh, you're strong, you can do it, you can handle, you can do it. Apparently you cannot feel weakness. Apparently you are not allowed to see that yes, it can be painful sometimes. Yes, it can be not as good as I thought, or sometimes I can't. But so when you believe that you are strong, you can do it all the time. When you are frustrated and when you can't do it, then you get really frustrated. Like, oh my God, but I'm strong. What is going on? I can't do it. How come? So this is the other way, the opposite, right? But
Yeah.
it's not good. It's not good
Yeah.
because you have to see that we can be vulnerable. Of course we can. You are learning. We are here all to learn, and sometimes things can be very overwhelming, can be very stressing. That it's okay to feel like, oh my gosh, it's hard. It's not easy, and this time, let me like embrace myself to say, okay, let me take care of myself, my feelings, of my frustrations. I know I can do it, but I also am allowed to feel that pain, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things when we get stuck in those patterns of either, I can't do it, oh, you poor thing, or I'm strong, I can do it, we end up going there without any conscious awareness, right? Like we just go into react mode and there's no thought, there's no cognitive thinking about it. We're just there.
Yeah, exactly. You just react because this is what you learn. This is what you have learned. Like you have uh, um, actually parents and the society, they tell us, they're always telling us how you feel, what you are, and you have to do this, you are like that, you are like this. So when you grow up with these things, it's not you, right? It's who they told you to be. So you are far from your essence because this is your ego. This is something that this is what the society or your family told you to be. So you have to discover by yourself who you are, and what is yours, what is not yours, what is your parents and what is yours, what is the society's and what is yours. So you have to get more in touch with your essence to discover that. And logosynthesis is a really good way
To do
of
that,
discovering.
isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and some of those patterns were survival patterns, right? Like but they get in the way from thriving, or they can really bog us down. They help us at a certain point in time, but they can really bog us down. And I think, often that self-talk that we have in our head, we think of the self-talk as rational thinking, but it's kind of that irrational emotional reaction
It can
to
be.
that memory, isn't it?
Yes, it's very hard to recognize um, this this thinking, this intrusive thinking in our heads. So we never know when you talk to yourself a lot, a lot, a lot. That's why it's good someone else from outside to talk to you about it, like a therapist or someone like that, because our mind can be deceived. So sometimes you are there and you think, no, this is the right way, this is the right way, but it's just your pain talking. It's just your memories, your painful memories talking to you that you have to do this way, you have to react this way. So we have to be very careful with that. The thing is, be reactive is not very good. It's not really good. You have to wait. You have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait for that feeling to go away. That's why it's good sometimes to meditate, go to yourself, your inner, and wait to go away. And then you can think maybe in a more clarity way to say, okay, what am I going to do? So the reaction to something is um, most of the time it's not good.
Hmm. Well, and it can really get in our way of our goals, right? Because when we react, it's just there's no there's no filter on it. There's no break to
Exactly.
slow down. It's just plowing
Exactly.
ahead. And one of the things I find with the beliefs is that when we come to this conclusion, often at a young age, and because it's a belief, it's frozen energy, there's no other way of seeing it. So why would you change it? So you can't rationally change it, can you? Because it's frozen to tell you
Yeah.
it's true.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that I realized uh, as a therapist is, for example, psychoanalysis. It's really good. I love psychoanalysis, um, but it gets you to just to a certain point um, that says that things are as they are, and we are like that, and things are not going to change. It can't be better, and you have to accept that. You have to accept that reality. This is this is what psychoanalysis says most of the time. But you can understand things rationally with psychoanalysis, but you are still suffering because you understand, but the pain is there. You don't accept really, for real. You feel pain when, for example, things don't go the way you think it has to go, or when, for example, you are in a relationship and the other person doesn't change, and they say, "Oh, I understand he's like this," and then you don't say anything, but inside you're suffering because you really want him to change, you know. But so you can see it really works rationally, but you still suffer. And when you start swallowing your emotions, this can go through your body, and you can be sick, physically sick, for example. And with logosynthesis, something different happens. because you release that. You understand that it's not yours. I mean, you understand that you don't have to make anybody change. It's that other person, is that other universe. You release that energy that was frozen, that pain that was frozen. So and then you see things in another perspective, and then you don't suffer anymore. This is the difference. This is
Yeah, and when you say about the relationship, what comes to mind for me is quite often we'll have like an image, which we're not even aware of, but we have an image of an ideal partner. And that image is, and obviously our partner is not that ideal. We've frozen at some point in time. So
yeah,
we see it in logosynthesis when people say the sentences on this image of the ideal partner, or this perception of an ideal partner, and then just things just shift. And you don't have to change the other person because you can accept them as they are. You're not bumping up against this perfect person that doesn't even exist in reality. So,
yes,
yeah.
that. And you realize that things has more to do with you than to the other person. Like,
Yeah.
why is that action of that person triggering me? Because there's something in me that needs to change. It's not the other person.
Yeah.
It's
Or it
that,
could have been something that happened, like especially I find with with partners, with people that are really close to us. There's so many experiences we have. It's inevitable that something is going to happen that is going to um, something's going to happen that's going to be a bad memory, right? And it's going to
yeah,
get stuck there. And so instead of it's a forgiveness element, right? Because when something gets frozen there, some bad memory, and we keep going back to it energetically, not cognitively, we might want to forgive it, but it's still in our energy space, right? There's still this memory. And when you can shift that, then that suffering or that struggle falls away, doesn't it?
yeah, and that's the beauty. I mean, because we are not here to suffer. We are not living this planet to suffer. We are here to live, to experience, to love, to be happy. So um, most of frozen energy, as you said, come to come from our childhood, bad memories, and the triggers um, in our relationship or in our lives when something happened is like lead us right through that memory. That's why it's painful, and you tend to react right away. And this is not good because you are reacting to that old memory, to that old person, to that thing that happened to you in the past. So it doesn't make sense rationally, but we are not aware of that. We don't know that. People don't know that. Um, so that's why reaction is not good. We have to understand, and you have to release. I mean, what happened, it happened. It's already in the past. If it is still triggering you, then you have to be careful because it's not in the past. It's in your so your pain from the past is in your present. So we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, and then when we end up overreacting to something in the present because we were activated by something from our past, then I find we start to make excuses. We tend to complain. We tend to get stuck in that victim mode. Oh, it's them, it's not me. And
That
yeah.
exactly. So you have to look to yourself. So you have to wait. Okay, why am I feeling like this? It's not the other person who caused me that, because the other person did what she had to do. It's something about them. It's not something about me, about myself. For example, in a traffic jam, if someone is like yelling and screaming at you and buzzing, I don't know how it's said.
Yeah. Bump the horn.
Yeah, yeah. And then you you have two ways of thinking of or feeling that. You can if you have bad memories from I'm not good enough, I am bad, I am guilty, so automatically you're gonna feel guilty, and you're gonna say, oh, this guy is mad at me because but it's not my fault, it's the traffic jam, but he's mad at me, and then you start reacting to that man. But it's not you. And but most people do think it's like, I think it's me, so I'm going to react and I'm going to start fighting with the guy. Oh, okay, you know what, blah 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 blah. But it's not, because the guy is mad because he has his own problems. It's he is a whole universe, and it has nothing to do with your universe, because he doesn't even know, don't even know the guy. And if you start thinking, okay, you know what, it has nothing to do with me, I'm in peace, I cannot do anything, and I'm not doing anything, so this doesn't bother you. You can see from another perspective. You can see, oh, it's him, it's not me.
And
So
for me, it wasn't until I was introduced to logosynthesis and starting to use logosynthesis that I was able to actually just feel calm. Like I was always kind of in rush, go, go, go mode. And then I'd noticed, okay, I'm feeling rushed in this situation. So I had a fair number of situations that I was rushed in. But then when I noticed when I felt rushed, or when I overreacted, or when I got frustrated or angry, and then I could work on that. But it wasn't until I started using logosynthesis that I could actually feel calm. Like I knew I should be calm, and I could
yeah,
buy into I shouldn't overreact. But that's different than something happening and you remain calm, you remain present, isn't it? Do you notice
yeah,
that?
yes, that's what I'm saying. Like it's something like it one thing is for you to know that you need to be calm. The other thing is you just feel calm. It's like, I don't it I don't mind. It's like, I don't know why. It's like when you said, I don't know why you were reacting like this. I'm sorry, I don't understand. You see, it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. Wow. Well, this is really great. I really appreciate your input. I would like to know, before we sign off, if you have like a key message that you would like to tell people that might be interested in exploring logosynthesis, and also for people who are trained in psychoanalysis and psychotherapy and in guided change, helping people. Is there something you would like to leave as a
Yeah,
message?
yeah. I think for the health care field and medical community, or people who work with psychoanalysis or whatever, there is an easier and very quick way to help people get out of suffering. And logosynthesis can help really with that, because it really release frozen energy, and open your mind and open your heart. See that things change. Things has changed from several years, and we have now a very powerful tool, right? So it doesn't have to be really hard. It's easy, it's simple. Just let go, just park your brain, just feel, try to connect to your essence, and try it out. Try it out. Try logosynthesis, see what happens, but don't think too much, because thinking and looking for explanations is a way of controlling. So you don't have to control anything, because we can't actually control anything, right? Nothing is under our control. So don't control it. Just try it, because there is a way of getting away from suffering, and it's very simple. So try logosynthesis, like